Hi, I'm Dr. Sharon Schutz, and I'm sitting here with Colton Hay, who is running for county attorney. And he was at the meeting the other night in Centerville, and you'll be seeing some more stuff from him. But I wanted to sit down with you today and talk about the county attorney job and Colton Hay.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, I've been here 12 years, and I never knew you existed until now.
You're probably just running different circles.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But and so do a lot of our viewers. Mm-hmm. So they want to know who you are. You're wanting to be county attorney, and the other night at the meeting you spoke about some things we'll be discussing, and you brought up a lot of questions and got a lot of people thinking.
Okay.
And
that's
so
what I was trying to do.
That's exactly what you did. In fact, you did a great job the other night.
Thank you.
The whole meeting was awesome. Everybody did well. But tell me about Colton.
Okay. I guess I'll save you the boring stuff about the schooling and things like that I've gone to. But if you get down to just me, I like spending a lot of time outdoors in the woods. I have a fiance, Kendra Hardison, who has been instrumental through this whole campaign.
She's a sweetheart.
She's wonderful. Talk about my likes and things that I enjoy doing. I've got about 30 head of cattle. Just started, probably had the herd for about 2 years now. Before that, I had some replacement heifers I was raising, and I really enjoyed doing that. Growing up, I did 4-H FFA. I even did the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo Calf Scramble when I was 14 or 15 years old, and I caught a calf. And you get the money to buy it, and you do a scrapbook and write some papers, and you got to do a little thing, and it was great, and it really kind of it instilled something in me that I want to keep doing. And I bought a rabbit or a pen of rabbits at the Trinity Fair this year, and that just made my day, because I always remember thinking, wow, if you could buy an animal at the county fair, you really made it, because I was always on the receiving end of the kid that was showing, but now I got to be a part of the other side, and that's something I really want to continue doing and be a part of the community. I also really like, I got a bird dog right now. His name's Doc. He's a German wired hair pointer. He's a little kind of hoity-toity of a dog, but he's not AKC registered. He's registered on the German kind of way, so he has to pass some tests to do things. He's got a big old bushy beard, and he's a goofball. And his first test, the VJP, is going to be February 28th, so it cuts in, pretty close to the election date. But I had to schedule some time to go off and do that. So I like cows and dogs, and my fiance Kendra, and I think that's about it.
Cows and dogs.
Yeah.
Okay. How old are you? I'm just curious.
I'm 27 years old.
20. That's what I thought. 27.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
You're the first person who's guessed it right. I get a lot of young comments.
28. But you seem to be very mature for a 27, 28-year-old. It looks like you got your life headed in a positive direction. You know what you want. You're moving forward, and that's impressive, especially today. And most 28, 27, 26-year-olds are still on mom and daddy's insurance, living in the basement, or many of them are.
Yes, ma'am.
But anyway, it's good to see that you've got so much positive direction.
Well, talking about goals and everything like that, when I was in high school, me and I guess your parents butt heads at a certain age, and I got upset, and I made a list of things I wanted to do. And at the top of the list was, get accepted to law school, graduate from law school, and eventually, come back home and run for Trinity County Attorney. And so I'm about halfway through my list right now. But I went and spoke. I went to Lovelady High School. My mom's a teacher over there, and I got asked back to go speak at Career Day. And I told the kids, I told them about being a lawyer and things like that. And it's not like you see on TV, but I told them, make a plan for your life, because if you don't plan where you want to be, life will put you where it wants you to be. And that's, kind of my motto, my credo. So I don't be just caught up in the everyday of, life. Make decisions, and this is where I want to be, in Trinity County, working in the Trinity County Attorney's office.
So what do you say when somebody says, "But you're so young. How you don't have any experience? You don't have any anything to bring to the table other than than that you're a good-looking kid with an education? And I mean, what do you tell people when they ask that question of your experience?
Well, I'll tell you, just today I've got the comment twice that you're so young, and I'll say, I'm not old. I really, I know I'm on the younger side of the attorneys, but I was visiting with a fellow the other day, Mark Evans, and he said his dad was sheriff of Trinity County when he was 28 years old, and so that's something. But I guess what I say now, I look young, but I have tried more cases in the 2 years I've been over in Anderson County, working for that DA's office, than most attorneys have really tried in their entire career. Because something that you don't really understand is about being an attorney. 90% of attorneys barely set foot in a courtroom. A lot of them are pushing paper. A lot of them making deals, and that's what how most things are. Kind of settled. Plea negotiations. 90% of cases do that, and that's just the best use of time. But going to court's scary. It's something a lot of people don't like to do because you stand up there and you say what you think, then the other person says, "Hey, you're wrong." And a lot of people don't like that, especially in front of 6 or 12 people. And I've never been scared to do that. I've never been scared to put myself out there. And although I look young, my face, and I mean I do have a baby face for as old as I am. I admit that. I get that from my mom's side. But as far as experience goes, I have a great deal more experience than most people when it comes to this. And in my opinion, I think I have, all the tools right now to do the job because I've been in Anderson County working for that DA's office and trying cases. And this was my intention to run for county attorney since high school, right. And I put myself in positions to where I gained that experience. Right. So when the boss comes in and says, "Who wants to do juveniles?" Raise my hand because I know that's something county attorneys do. So I signed up for that, and I have juvenile experience. Okay, and they say, "Who wants to do all the JP court cases?" Which, no one's really jumping up and down because you got to drive, to 4 different locations and stuff like that. But I raised my hand because that's something that interests me, and I made a point to say, "Hey, I need experience in this. I want experience in this." So I put myself out there. Mm-hmm. So as far as the people who say I'm young, yes, and I say good because there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and if I was an old man, I don't know if I have the energy to do it. Right. But as far as experience, I have plenty. And I'm not saying that there's not a whole lot of things I still need to learn, but I have the tools to do the job, and I look forward to gaining more knowledge, about the job, wherever I can. But right now, I could walk in the county attorney's office today, and I could run it like it needs to be run.
Right. So you, excuse me, you've been the last 2 years. You've been working in DA's office.
Yes, ma'am.
And before that, you were working with Benny Shiro?
Well, I'll break it. There was a little bit of a gap in there. So I went to college at Sam Houston State University, majored in criminal justice. And I figured if you were going to Sam Houston, that's the school to get a criminal justice degree in. And the last semester there was a program I heard about. And it said instead of going to classes this semester, you could get an internship. And my aunt just happened to be friends with Benny's wife, Brenda. And she said, "You have got to meet this guy," and everyone loves Benny. So I met Benny. It went well. And I interned for him for the semester. I learned a lot. I pretty much just followed him around, did some filing and stuff. But that semester changed my life. And it's scary to put yourself, a bunch of people that you don't know in a different office and something you don't have to do. But I'm a firm believer if you put yourself out there in the direction you want to go, good things will happen, and it did. So it went so well, I carried over to the summer, and I continued my internship, and I applied through law school and everything like that. I was accepted to a few, but at the time, St. Mary's in San Antonio was the best law school for me. So I went there, and I worked for Benny again that summer. Now, they say, "Colton, we like having you," but there's all these different little areas of law, and in school they encourage you to try all these little pieces, and they said, you need to meet this fellow named Dean Jackson, who's from Groveton, and he's a partner at an insurance defense firm in San Antonio. So I met with him. It went well. He's a great guy. I still talk to him today, and they hired me on there as a law clerk. So I worked there throughout school, going to classes, going to work, going to classes, going to work. Graduation time comes, and you got to study for the bar. And I worked for him while I was studying for the bar and waiting for my bar results. Passed the bar, and they hired me on as an associate. And so I worked in civil law, just shy of a year for an insurance defense firm. And it's not as exciting as being a prosecutor. A lot of those guys, they'll go to trial maybe once a year. I'm in a courtroom, probably 90% of my time, Maybe not 90%, I would say closer to 75%, but...
What about as a county attorney? So, the other night at the meeting, you were talking about 3 different areas.
Exactly.
And I didn't even get the area names down. But tell me about those. I know the potential...
Well, it's reasons why it's important to prosecute misdemeanor crimes.
Yes.
Okay, and if you don't get those prosecutions, these are kind of the bad things that happen and why it's bad. And this is, I know I've been talked to about it. They say, hey, Colton, misdemeanor prosecution is not the whole job. You got CPS, juvenile, things like that, advising the county on legal matters from time to time. But misdemeanor crimes were kind of the bread and butter of the office, in my opinion. And it's the issue that I see needs to be addressed. Because people are coming up to me and they're telling me these problems. And when you don't prosecute misdemeanors, it's bad for 3 reasons. It's bad for more than 3 reasons, but just, rule of 3 for speech making. I think that's, speech 101. But firstly, it's bad because it's costing the county money. They're missing out on it. You get court costs and fines and probation fees, and that's how a lot of offices, are paid for and worked. And that money goes into the general revenue fund, right? So when you're not getting the convictions, you're not getting the probation, and you're dismissing cases for lack of speedy trial or something like that, you're missing out on a potential revenue source. And you could be an asset to the county instead of something that costs the county money. You could pay for yourself, or you could make them pay for you. And so that's something that I would strive to do, more aggressive misdemeanor prosecution, and not, throw the book at people, but, make sure cases are assessed and, pled out or tried in a timely manner, as you're supposed to do as a prosecutor. It's kind of like your oath. Secondly, I talked about enhanceable offenses. Now, I don't know how familiar you are with it, but just for the viewers, I'm just going to go in and explain it. You have DWIs and thefts, and there's a few others, but for this, example, we're just going to talk about those. DWIs are enhanceable offenses, which means if you get 2 or more convictions, it goes up to a felony. Okay, and thefts are the same way. 2 or more convictions goes up to a felony. That's because, they're misdemeanor crimes. There's a big difference between someone having too much to drink at a Christmas party than someone who has been arrested for DWI 3 times and is running into houses. Right. So it should be addressed at a higher level. But what we're seeing here is these convictions aren't being obtained, so you have arrest, which you can't do anything with arrest. And that's why I talk about having law enforcement's back, because they're out there doing their job. They're working. I think law enforcement is doing an excellent job cleaning Trinity up. I think there's a lot of numbers out there, and they've done it. But you have to have law enforcement's back, because prosecutors and law enforcement are a team. They bring them in, out there on the streets risking their neck, and we have to follow through and prosecute them if there is a case. I'm not saying every person they bring in needs to be convicted and needs to be evaluated, but if there's, smoke and fire, there needs to be a trial or, plea deal negotiated. So you can get those convictions. And the convictions that person can be then addressed on a felony level with a higher punishment range. Because misdemeanors, Class B, which is your standard DWI, that's going to be up to 180 days in jail and a $2,000 fine. Now with the new legislator, they tweaked a few things. With a Class A DWI, that's going to be 365 days in the county jail or up to a $4,000 fine. These are the maxes. Now a felony, that's going to take it way up. You're talking about state jail, prison, that sort of thing. And if someone does these things this many times, they need to be handled at a different, level.
Right.
And lastly, it's not fair to the people that have been alleged to have committed these crimes. These people are staying on the docket longer than if they would have just signed up for probation, because these are misdemeanors, and a lot of times people that commit misdemeanors aren't exactly, some aren't hardened criminals. Some are just citizens that make a mistake, and there's no judgment there, but you do the crime, you do the time, and hopefully after that, a fair punishment phase, you move on with your life, and get back to being a contributing member of society. And that's what I think needs to be done. It's my opinion that it's not being done.
Okay.
And it doesn't necessarily, I'm going over my 3 right now, but I was visiting with some folks the other day at one of these fundraisers, and I mean, these are, grown men in their 50s, that are successful. And I was telling about the misdemeanors, and they said, hey, when I was a kid, I think someone might have graffitied something, or, I think someone even said they slashed a tire, But they said, but I was dealt with, they got their kick in their pants, and they said, hey, I'm never doing that again.
Right.
And so if you don't take care of it right now, if you don't nip it in the bud, if your reaction is not speedy, and just, then these people think that, hey, I can keep committing misdemeanors because there's no repercussions. The next thing you know, they're going to go up from the misdemeanors, and they're going to get a felony where there are repercussions, and this is going to be the first time that they see that. And, I mean, they get a big dose of reality right then,
Right.
when they could have just gotten a reasonable amount, and fixed their lives when they were, just a simple criminal trespass or shoplifting $100 worth of stuff from Brookshire Brothers. Those are bad things, but those are things that are recoverable from in life.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense.
Mm.
What I want you to do, Colton, is I want you to look into the camera, and I want you to tell the people of Trinity County why you would be the best man to be the county attorney, and what you can offer the county. And
Okay, I can do that. What I can offer the county is hard work, showing up every day, and prosecuting these misdemeanor crimes. I'll always have an ear open for the people. Now, a lot of these departments, being the county attorney, you would work with a CPS department. You would work with a victim's advocate, for violence against women crime protective orders. You would work with JPs. You would work with juvenile stuff. And each of these already have their own little departments. What I will do and what I will promise is that I always have an ear for them. I will always listen to them and do what they need me to do as their county attorney. Additionally, I will always back up law enforcement. If an arrest was proper and the allegations are correct and fit the standards of the statute for the crime, I will prosecute that crime for law enforcement, for the citizens of Trinity County, because that's what they deserve. That's what I would be hired to do. And I guarantee you, I will be the best Trinity County attorney that y'all have ever seen.
thank you for coming in and sitting down with me. And I look forward to the election, and I look forward to seeing just what the people in Trinity County do in this election. It's going to be interesting.
Oh yeah, we have a lot of signs
people.
up right now.
Yeah, and a lot of good people. There's some choices that people are and women.
Hopefully so. Remember, vote hay on election day. Thank you.